I'm Renaun Erickson, a platform evangelist with Adobe. Welcome to the Flex 3 to Flex 4 migration series. In this video, I want to present a migration tip on containers, HBox, HGroup, SkinnableContainer and BorderContainer. Flex 4 introduces a new component set called Spark. The Spark component model is quite different than the Flex 3 components. In this video, I want to focus on the basic layout and container classes, specifically from the MX component set, HBox, VBox, and Canvas, and from the Spark component set, Group, Skinnable Component, and SkinnableContainer. Flex 4 provides us a way to extend styling called skinning. In Flex 4, if you want to make a skinnable component, you need to extend skinnable component. But the skinnable component does not provide a way to do layout logic. For layout logic, you need to use a skinnable container, which extends skinnable component and provides all the functionality for layout functionality and being able to display your objects visually how you want to. I'm going to go ahead and show some of these differences and how you would take an MX container class and use the appropriate Spark container class. In this application, called HBox Group Skinnable Container, that I've created in Flash Builder 4 that you can use for your migration from Flex 3 to Flex 4 applications, I have an Spark application that's set up in a vertical layout so I can show you all these different containers on top of each other. The first container we have here is an HBox, the old MX container, which in the MX land you would use to do visual things and layout functionality. And I have two labels in there to show you how they're laid out. And I use those two labels in all other containers so they look the same. Then we have an HGroup. So a group class in Spark components is supposed to give you just the functionality of layout and container. It doesn't provide you any ability to visually change the look and feel of the container. If you want to do that, you need to use the skinnable container. But the skinnable container uses the new Spark layout type of model, and so you need to define the layout specifically as an object, which gives you a lot more control, and we'll talk about that in a second. Now, if I want to actually do something more with the skinnable container, like draw a border on it, I can use the border container. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of these styles. And why I have styles here is in the MX days, you would use a lot of styles on top of the HBox. So this is a typical style sheet that you would apply to the HBox. Padding, give it a border style, and a background color. Now since the Spark components all do different things, these styles apply differently to those containers. And what I have down here is just a label style to make it stand out more. To get the effect, let's run this application and I'll review what I just talked about. So in the style sheet, we defined a red border color, a light gray background color, and made our label stick out. So this is the HBox up here, taking the two labels, laying them out horizontally. We have the padding on the top, the left, the bottom. But those same style properties on an HGroup do nothing. And that's correct. The Spark HGroup container, the group classes, don't provide you any skinning capability. In the skinnable container, what we have is no padding, but we have the background showing up and not the border. So the skinnable container doesn't use the border styles, but the border container does apply the border styles. So what about the padding on these last two? So even though the padding doesn't apply to the actual containers, this has to do with the Spark components' different layout model. So what we do is actually apply the padding to the layout classes. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that same layout values that we had in the styles and apply it to the two Spark containers. And now when we run this, the paddings will be applied just like in the HBox. So there we have it. What I've shown you here is the differences between the MXML container classes and the Spark container classes, and show you the different possibilities of using which class for layout functionality and for visual display functionality. Learn more about the Flex 3 to Flex 4 migration series by going to the Adobe Developer Connection.